Today's NDE afterlife experience is from Sarah. Sarah Love joins us to talk about her incredible near-death experience, NDE, after she crossed over to the other side and had a spiritual encounter in heaven. Welcome to Near Death Tales. If this is your first time checking this channel out, I'm glad to have you here. My name is Joseph, and I will be narrating the near-death experiences of those who have died and have seen the other side. Today's experience comes from Sarah. Here it is. I'm Sarah, and I did have a near-death experience when I was very young. I was almost 4 years old, and it was during surgery when I had my tonsils out. Back then, they used ether. I guess it was, or chloroform. I remember I was carried in by a doctor and put on the operating table, and he said, "Oh, you have a runny nose." He's trying to trick me, I guess. Then he put this rag, put stuff on it, and he put it over my face. He held me down on the table, and this person that I thought was kind of nice, I felt like he was suddenly trying to kill me because I felt like he was suffocating me. So that part was very scary to me. But soon after, I remember fighting and kicking and fighting it. But then, of course, I just gave in because I started seeing flashes of colors and lights, and it almost looked like fireworks. I saw red and blue and green and yellow, and so that kind of took my attention. I started watching that, and then suddenly I was in this huge white tunnel, and it was very bright, and I was moving and traveling through this tunnel very quickly. I realized that in the white tunnel, the light at the end of this tunnel was so bright and so beautiful, and the feelings were overwhelming. It was like I wanted to get there more than anything I'd ever felt before. The more I wanted to get there, the faster it seemed that I went. So within, I'd say, what felt like maybe a couple of minutes of zooming through this tunnel, I go out there and I landed in this beautiful white light. You know, all I could really see was white light all around me at that moment, but the feelings were so overwhelming. I had felt this love like I'd never felt before. It felt like I was naked. I was standing there, and even at that young age, 4 years old, I felt like every single thing of my being, every single molecule of my being was known to this being. I didn't have to say anything. It was just all known. But it was okay. It was comforting because it was very unconditional love. I knew instinctively that it didn't matter what anybody that stood in this light had done or not done in their life. Nothing mattered except that you were part of this light. And this light was so loving. It felt like this is all I need. I felt a couple of guides. They were kind of iridescent. I could kind of see through them, but I could see their features, and they were with me pretty much the entire time. I felt the guides talk to me. Everything was telepathic. There was no actual speaking like in 3D. I started getting flashes of energy that showed me like scenes of different places and people, and they were very quick, like a movie going really fast through your mind. But it felt like there were hundreds of lifetimes, and everything I saw and felt like it was my experience and part of me. I remember asking in my head, okay, so who am I? And then the answer came back loud and clear, and it was, you're all of them. I remember thinking, oh yeah, that makes sense, because it felt like I was all of them. When that was over, it seemed like that energy just became part of me. I didn't have specific memories or instances, but it was all there so fast, like a download of a computer into my being, I guess. So then the guides were there, and they were kind of confused at one point, and they said, well, we're not sure why you're here, or what you know, what's going on. So they took me to see someone. I would have to say it was like the Holy Spirit, because it was like a presence that was all around us. They kind of asked, what are we doing here? Why is she here so soon? Kind of thing, like maybe I surprised them by showing up this day. But they said, well, give her a tour for now and we'll get back to you, kind of thing. So I went on this beautiful tour. I saw a beautiful garden where the flower, a great big sunflower, talked to me in my mind. And it was like, hi, how are you? I remember getting so excited, like, wow, this is really alive. Like on Earth, we know flowers in our life, but I mean, this one was speaking to me. And they said, well, yes, everything's alive. You'll want to remember that. Everything is energy, and everything is alive. Then I saw what seemed like a campus. There were people walking around everywhere. There were colors I hadn't seen before, and I asked them, why don't we have these colors? Why don't I remember this color at home? They said, because it's such a high vibration, your eyes can't see it there, but you can see it here. There were buildings that looked like they had pillars, white, kind of like you would see in Rome. Some were like pillars with a roof, but not really too many walls. It was very beautiful. So this person or energy came by and they kind of were like, what's she doing here? My guides were quick to say, you know she can hear you, so don't come too close. So I guess, there's not really any keeping secrets in that realm because everything's telepathic, and you feel their feelings. They just didn't want me to be afraid. So it was very amazing. I had this huge experience. Then someone else came by and said to me that there's someone really important that wants to meet you. They said, well, it will take a few minutes for them to appear here for you. But as she walked away, I could hear her thoughts say, oh, you're so lucky. I remember thinking, you're lucky? Well, I wonder what she's talking about. And before I knew it, this huge ball of light came down. It was beautiful golden light, and it was huge. It seemed like about at least 6 or 8 feet wide. Maybe it was very big and seemed to get bigger the closer it came. The next thing I know, this beautiful being was in the light in front of me, and the ball kind of disappeared. But I saw this beautiful being like a man who looked like a king to me. He had a beautiful robe on. He was just so powerful and incredibly beautiful, and he was so large. To me, he looked so large. I immediately was entranced with the energy. The vibrational tone was entrancing and magnetic, and I remember feeling like the energy and the presence was, if I could stay here for eternity, this is all I would ever need. Finally, I was inquiring, okay, well, who are you? He stood up and said, I am Mike. Being a 4-year-old Canadian girl, I didn't have a clue. I couldn't really understand what he said, so I said, pardon? He said, I am Mike. But when he said, I am Mike, it felt like an earthquake. It felt like all of heaven could hear his voice everywhere. It was like it almost shook, like a tremor. The vibration of his powerful voice saying, I am Mike. He said it 3 times in total, and then he kind of realized, well, this isn't getting you too far. I was standing on these bricks, and I looked down, and they were beautiful gold bricks. I was just kind of amazed because there was like this huge road, and then when I looked up in the distance, I saw a beautiful castle. It had a lot of pointy turrets, and it looked like it was golden as well. I remember thinking, oh, I want to go there. I want to see what's in there. Then I heard my guide say to me, well, that's only for people that are going to stay here. I remember thinking, what do you mean? There was almost time to leave. I remember, leaving. No, I don't want to go anywhere. This is where I want to be. I don't want to leave. So I felt like they, at that moment, started trying to convince me. I kind of got the feeling that it had to be my choice. It had to be my decision whether I stayed or left. I saw a bubble appear, and it was almost like a TV screen, but it was like a bubble. And I could see my mom over my hospital bed, and she was crying. I remember saying, but why is she crying? I am right here. Then suddenly I felt her grief. I felt her grieving, and it was like, oh, I guess I have to go back instantly because I couldn't allow her to feel that or go through that. I said, but I didn't understand because I said, I'm fine, I'm here. They said, yes, but if you stay here, she will have to live the rest of her life without you. So I knew I had to go back. I really chose to go back for her. So I did wake up in the hospital in the dark, and my mom was there with tears. But as I was in recovery that week in the hospital, I tried to tell my mom and my grandmother. I tried to tell them all, and it seemed like the more I tried to bring it up, this beautiful other place, I could almost feel it being taken away from my memory. But what never went away was that I knew I had gone somewhere. I knew I tried to tell them about this amazing place, but I also felt that my guide came to protect me more after that. So the whole experience really did change my life. I think this experience made my entire life be more connected, because I feel I did come here in this lifetime on a mission to help people wake up to the fact that there really isn't death. My best advice is to always stay in the present, enjoy the present moments, stay in the present moment, and don't worry about the passing future near as much as we do. So that is one of the biggest messages that I'd like to give people. Not to fear death or the unknown. It's a wonderful experience. Life is a wonderful journey, and it's an unending journey. Don't have fear, live your life, and enjoy.